was in camp.
You were in camp all the time?
Yeah, from 1942. Before that, I was a boy, you know. I was 16 when I went to camp. Czechoslovakia was the most democratic country in Europe.
That's true.
And the Jews lived the same way as non-Jews. There's no difference whatsoever. They were in school together. Everything was. Only when the Slovaks became self-sufficient, then they became very anti-Semitic, the Slovaks. And I don't know whether you know that the president of Slovakia was a priest, Tiso, Joseph Tiso.
Joseph Tiso.
Like the watch.
And he sold every Jew to Hitler. Every Jew who Hitler took out from Slovakia, he paid 40 Deutschmarks.
Yes.
He got paid.
He paid Germans 40.
Yeah, he paid the Germans to take the
Jews to Poland. That's right. So he paid the money to the Germans to expel the Jews.
Yes.
That's ridiculous.
And he was a priest.
Did you ever wear the star? Did you wear the star? From when? From 1939?
1939. Yes.
In one case, what?
In one case, there was a boy once went to school with us, a big anti-Semite, the whole family, a very big anti-Semite. And we were always, when you saw Jews, bloody Jew, and so on. And one day, already when they were already in power, I was walking on the footpath, and he came across the road, and he pushed me down from the footpath.
Yeah.
And at that time, I pushed him back and I split his head.
Good on your dad.
And I didn't go home. I was afraid to go home because the parents of this boy, were very upset.
But they became another group of the murderers and criminals in the camp.
That's right. They were the biggest murderers.
Yeah. Sometimes they were even
for
worse.
For them to murder somebody was nothing.
And did they murder them for food and stuff?
No,
just for fun.
For thrill. Just for thrill, not for cruelty.
For thrill, yeah.
Just for thrill.
Well, there are those people.
And also, unfortunately, I have to say that there was also one Jew who was doing it. All the prisoners who became capos, from my time, they were all normal people from normal life, and they became murderers and cruel.
That's right.
It was terrible. What was going on at that time, you cannot possibly imagine.
Because there's no law,
No law,
nothing. And the climate, the environment.
Amongst the
prisoners, they were, if you had a position, you were a capo, you could kill, you can,
but
just for fun.
But you had to kill to be a capo.
You didn't have to kill to be a capo. You had to. To be cruel. You had to,
But you had
show your cruelty that you don't have. Yes.
Yeah, to keep your position. So sometimes the circumstances forced you to be someone you wouldn't like to be, or you didn't want to.
That's what I could. I was. I couldn't do it. I was made a Vorarbeiter. I was there for half an hour, and I couldn't do it.
Yeah, but not all the people were like you.
No, sure.
Many of the prisoners in the camp were just waiting
to get a position.
To get the position,
yes,
to get the opportunity.
Survive. This is what the point of survival. If you got a position, you had a very good chance of survival. If you kept your position.
Yeah.
Did a lot of capos
yes.
Or did they kill them then? Did they kill the capos?
But there was also a rotation, Dad. Remember you said with Canada, you had to get out after a while because they knew too that you had that position for a while, but after a while
They were going to liquidate us.
yeah, they were going to kill you.
Well, that happened to me while I was still there when the Sonderkommando, there was a Sonderkommando where they mostly Slovakian Jews, and some of them I went to school with. They were all very, very, very well fed. They were very good, you know. They looked very good. And one day they went out and never came back. That was the end of it. And the Lager Kapo was charged of all the Kapos in the whole Lager.
Lager
And
is
the Lager Ältester was the same thing. The Lager Ältester was in charge of all the block Ältesters in the camp.
Lager is a German word for camp.
Camp, yes. Lager Ältester is the head of the
camp.
camp.
The supreme prisoner.
And the capos were prisoners. They were
Yes, they were
Of course,
prisoners.
yes.
were Jewish prisoners.
There were
so-
Jewish and non-Jewish.
Yeah, but they were one of the
in the
prisoners,
beginning,
so
in
it
the
was like
beginning
they
they were
took-
non-Jewish, and later they were Jewish. Not much later, but
and after
they didn't have enough non-Jewish prisoners to make them capos.
And they wanted you to be a capo? Is that what you
They wanted me to make. They made me a Vorarbeiter, which what
Foreman.
a foreman of 30 prisoners, which I had to take care. I had to make sure that they do their work, but I didn't. I was doing the work, and they were standing
They were standing around watching
around
you.
watching me. That's right. And then all of a sudden, the Lager Capo who gave me this job, it was the Lager Capo. Once he came and he screamed with full voice, Vorarbeiter. That was me. I said, jawohl. And then they asked me, why are those people not working? And I said, I'm very sorry, but I was doing the work. I didn't
Didn't look up.
look after. I said, I didn't put you here to do the work. I put you here to look after. They should do the work. And he told me to bend down. He gave me 6 lashes, and that was the end of my career as a foreman.
But there were better and worse capos, like local ters and the others.
Of course, there were capos killers,
There were capo killers. and-
but they were mostly non-Jewish,
Yeah,
non-German.
that's right.
Professional criminals.
That's right.
That's
So
right.
the only place where the Jews could be murdered
It
was
Auschwitz
Birkenau.
Birkenau.
That's why finally they built even the track into the...
crematorium. They had 3 full crematoriums.
We'll see the remains of them.
They tried to keep a secret, but
They tried, but it's
they
not
did
possible.
not succeed.
I don't think...
And I don't think they cared in the end.
I think they thought they would win the war and they would finally eliminate or
All
kill
Jews.
every single Jew and the prisoner of the concentration camp. What really was their plan to do?
Yeah.
They did, even the last minute,
Yeah.
where I was in camp, in one of the camps in Dachau, from Dachau, there were order from Berlin to kill the whole camp. That was already the end of April, almost the end of the war.
Yeah.
You know, and there came an order, and luckily we had a German from the German army, Wehrmacht, the commander, and he said, no, he's not going to kill everybody. And we were already standing for the purpose, and he said, how do you say in German, to disperse, you know?
at ease.
At ease, yes. We were on a train and we thought we saw the SS men throwing away the guns, that we are free. And all of a sudden they came from anywhere, everywhere, and they started to shoot at us.
Yeah. It was an act of desperation what they did.
And that was a day or a couple of days before we were really liberated. for the commando which came here to clean it out. We came here and there was about 10 or 12 of this stars, and there were 80, I think 80 people in one. Every single person was suffocated.
That's right. That would happen very often.
And that we had to clean out all the trains. It took us 24 hours to clean all the bodies out, and in such a way that the bodies there was all one on top of the other, and underneath the bodies were cooked, they were blue already, you know.
Because it was hot.
Yeah.
That would happen very often when the small windows there in the cars were sometimes boarded.
It's boarded.
They were trying to break the boards just to make some more air, to get some more air to breathe, or just.
As I remember, this never I can forget that came from Tarnov. There was one child left, and the whole transport, one child alive from the whole lot. And they put her on the last, you know, we used to take out the bodies, put it on a truck, and the truck went to the crematoriums right away. And the last lot of bodies we threw on the last truck and put the one girl which was alive, a little child, put on top of it. And they took her in.
Yeah, that would happen very often.
Once came a transport, and with every transport there came a sort of a order whether they should go to the gas chamber, the whole transport, or sorted out, left, right. And once came a transport which came straight to the gas chamber, no. And one of our boys met a brother in the transport, and he went to Mengele to beg him to save him. He said, "This is an order from Berlin. They all have to go to the gas chamber, and no
exception.
No exception."
Who'd want to live there?
I don't know. Not me.
Who'd want to live there?
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know. It's very
we thought
weird.
it was a good idea to build that house.
No, it's not.
That's it. Okay.
Were you coming this one?
Yeah.
The camera
I know.
And then we came to Birkenau, but we didn't spend time racing with ourselves.
Does this bring back some memories for you?
Well, I can't remember lots of things, but it's starting to come back slowly.
Okay. Yeah. It's got to be tough, huh?
Well, it's not easy.
It's not easy.
But I am quite relaxed, sort of. I'll see when I go in.
Yeah.
Whenever a transport came, we were called out and we cleaned up the trains. We chased the people out of the train, took their luggage, and that's it. Huh?
So this is Birkenau, is that right?
Yes, this Birkenau. That is where the transport arrived, yes, on the other side, in my time.
When you arrived to Birkenau, you lived in that part of the camp.
Yes, is this still some of the barracks? This is not, this
The
is-
brick once remained, and we'll go to 7,
we want
where there was a men's camp, and we'll go to 7, the death block where
yes.
you lived.
This is they couldn't guess that.
Hundreds of thousands of slave labor. You can't afford. We need the best power in our country. What were you thinking about that time? About that? And after that, I was my passion was psychology, talking to friends. So some people are so focused on certain thoughts that they don't realize what is actually going on around them. Did you I don't remember Paul. What do you remember from Auschwitz? Hunger. Finding it every single day. That was the purpose. The hunger to kill it. So to find something to eat every single day.
You don't remember the hunger?
The hunger, I remember.
It's much, you know.
I was hungry all the time. You got a piece of, it's supposed to be 25 grams, but when the bread was divided, when the Stublis got the bread, there was a bread was 1 kilo. So they used to take out for themselves from the middle.
Oh no.
Tuli, do you remember this area here now?
I don't remember that. It's much bigger.
Well,
It looks bigger.
it looks bigger.
It looks bigger. But there were in my times, there were only 14, I think, 14 or 15 blocks, brick ones. That's the one.
So this area is different?
This must have been the Frauenlager or something, huh?
Pardon?
This side.
Frauenlager, yeah.
Frauenlager.
Frauenlager and Männerlager.
Yeah.
So is that close?
Huh?
Women were there and men were there.
There, yeah.
So you could really. My mum said she saw.
Yeah, sure.
She saw her father.
Not here.
Yeah.
No.
He was there, but my father just
Wow. So small that prisoners could not sit or lie down. Barrack used as an infirmary. You were in the infirmary.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's block 7.
This is the blocks were still there, yes? 3, 7, 8, 12, 18. Huh?
7.
Huh? Yes, well, I've been here for 1.5 years, nearly 2 years. They have blocks. That's where we are stationed in this barracks.
So blocks of what is where the people live?
Yes, yes. There were our
So when you say the system of exactly doesn't exist anymore, but they're the perimeters. Those there are the perimeters. So they would have been timber buildings.
Timber building, I haven't been in a timber, only I was in a timber building when I came to Canada. It was Rock 16. This was, I don't know, it was
there.
Yes, on that side, yes. Yes, that's it. That's it. That's it.
What is it?
That's where we stay. This is the there were the three, you see? There were 5 in each one. 5 prisoners in each. And each top and middle. Anybody who died, they put in underneath.
Oh, so you're on top of it, and then if I died, you just...
We put them there.
Wow.
You died during the, during the stay here. There were 5 in each bunk. Imagine 5 people sleeping.
These were was there a layer on top of this?
Yeah, well, yes, there was there was a
There's people here.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's this.
Yeah. This is how it works. Where is the entrance? Yeah.
The buildings are not 100% original.
When I came in 1942, we went out every morning after roll call. We went out to work. But after roll call, the blockers announced whoever doesn't feel well, he can stay back and doesn't have to go to work. I never listened, I never sort of interested me. One day in September was a very cold, very miserable day outside, and I was feeling well. And I thought myself, well, I'll stay back today. So I stayed back, and as the luck has it, we stayed more than usual. We stayed about 20 or 22 people. Usually they only stayed 3, 4, 5. But this time it took about nearly 20 people. When after the roll call, we were put into the bunks here. We went, and we were lying there. And before lunch, they came and took away our dish, or lunch dish. We had a sort of a dish. They took it away. And in the afternoon, they put us on this side of the. From here up, they put 5 in everyone. Before the roll call, before the people came back from work in the evening, they came, the local tester, who was a German at the time, with the nurse, and from start where the prisoners took out one by one, injected them with phenol, and they put them, they died, and they put them in the thing, what was going on? What was going on, people started to scream, I want to leave, I'm going back to work, I want to stay back, it was terrible. I was one of, in those boxes. And they went one another, and the broadcaster after a while he was coming. Once, ein, zwei, drei, vier, sechs, sieben, genug für heute. Enough for today. It's just a couple of people before me.
Before.
And after the roll call, all those people who left, there were another 10 people who left. We knew because they took away from us the clocks, the coats, everything they took away. And then during the night, we went, it was stuck somewhere there in this corner, in that corner there. We went and we took our clocks and coats and we went to work next day. I never went back, I never
Never stayed back here. Never stayed back.
There's quite a lot going on here, isn't
Yeah.
there? Do you have any emotions like from?
Well, it's a long time ago. You lose the feelings and the emotions as time goes by. But it reminds me of what was going on at that time.
This has kind of played a little bit into your philosophy on life, hasn't it?
Yes, it did, indeed. Yes, I wanted to see how it is still, after 70 years, Okay, let's go. Where I was saved in this block, where,
You're saved.
I mean, getting contact with him every day after a roll call. I used to go to the window and he used to come. And one day I came and he was not there. It was empty, nobody. It was empty, the whole block was empty.
So the whole
Why is
block
it-
full of people had gone.
Why is it locked? Here, I was opposite. I was in this block, and I used to come to here. I used to go to this window here, to this window here. Here I used to meet him.
This window.
Yeah, or this window.
Over there.
No, it was after we could walk here. After roll call, we could sort of communicate a little bit. So,
So you just go, would the window be open and you just talk to them?
no, it wasn't open. It was like this. It wasn't open. Most of the time I was here before I was taken to. No. I was here for a few months. I was here since after Easter 1943. After Easter 1943, I went to Canada. In Canada, it was good. They said it was good there to be like in Canada. Yeah, that was that. It didn't matter what time of the day or night. We were called out, and we went to the ramp where the people arrived, and we chased them out of the wagons, took away the luggage, loaded the luggage on trucks, and that was it. And the rest, we were going to the gas chambers, they were sorted out. Part went to the gas chambers, part went to work. And sometimes the whole transport went to gas chambers, didn't do any sorting. We were chasing out the people from the train. And people with children you know, women and children, we used to tell them to leave the children behind, because if they went with the children out, they went to guest chamber with the children without any sorting out. So we always said to them, leave the children behind. You will get them next day, but which was not true, you know.
Okay.
And so they could survive, the women. I think this is the cars who wheel the bodies from the blocks, collect the bodies from the blocks, and went to the crematorium.
The Auschwitz one may just be part of the exhibition.
So 5 there.
5 there and the dead people here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What would happen?
In the block 7.
Right.
And what would happen then?
That's how I survived. That I was lying in front of the office. I was lying here somewhere, and the man came out of the office, and I saw him. And I called out to him, and he said, "What are you doing here?" You know, that was how we.
What man is that?
That is Maya.
The man that saved you.
So, and what did you do? He said, so what are you doing here? What happened?
He said, so I told him that I wouldn't. What happened actually when the day I was put in this 7 block, when we went to work, we had, after the roll call, everybody had to go to his commando and go to work. And everybody went to the commando. I went to where I had my commando. And the capo told me, I don't want you can't work, you have to carry home, from things, I don't want you. And he put me against the wall, and after they went out, I was put in number 7.
And then Mr. Meyer, you knew him, this Meyer guy? No, it wasn't Mr. Meyer. No, that was his first name. Meyer Mittelman.
Mittelman, yeah.
And
How did you know him?
This is a different story again.
you did know him, did you? Or?
I didn't know him. Yeah, I was standing in the same day. I was standing in the commando to walk out to work. And there was a fog. And when it was a fog, they didn't let out people to work because they were afraid they would run away, you know. So we were waiting, standing waiting. We, the normal prisoners, we were staying, I was staying where I was supposed to stand in my commando. And those people from the Canada, they were that sort of elite. They could walk around, they could go and things, and they were walking around. And the 2 people, this Meyer Mittelman and another person named Stern was his name, walked. And as they walked, they saw this Stern said to him, "Look, Meyer, there is a man who's got the same number as you are, the same transport as you came." He said, this is impossible. I mean, nobody can, after 1 year, there's no such a thing. His number existed, didn't exist. The letter came to me and asked what was my number. I said, this is my number. And he said, where did you come from? You know, he wanted to know whether I came. So I said, from Poprad. And so he knew that it wasn't a story that he knew that I came from the same place he came from. So he said to me, you come back in the evening to my block and I'll give you something to eat, which I did. The next day, this broadcaster, this capo wouldn't have me anymore. I said, here, I don't want you, get out. And he put me against the wall, and as they went out to work, and everybody who was left, a few of us, they put in block 7. And they put in block 7, I was here approximately, in block 7, in this first room. Now, I wasn't in the other one, but here in front of the office. The office was everything. And I was lying. And after the roll call, as I was lying, this Meyer, I can see walk out from this office. So I called him. And he said, "What are you doing? What's happened?" I told him what happened. He went back into the office and he called out the fellow in charge, and he said, "This fellow, you can't go to the gas chamber. You can't send him to the gas chamber. You have to try to transfer him to the same block where Canada is, and I will fix it that he can come there."
Is that how you got to Canada?
That's how I got to Canada. And I looked terrible. I was full of
That skin disease.
skin disease.
It's covered in scabs. What's it called? No, it was
It was itchy, yes.
but there's a name for it, the flesh eating, like it's some flesh disease.
It was.
In Polish it's called świerb.
Świerb is itchy.
Itchy.
But this was what do you call it?
I have it written down. It was actually written down. It's an official.
It was an inch thick here,
All over
here,
his face.
all on his face, here, terrible everywhere, you know. And I looked terrible. Of course, I can't hardly walk. I was maybe 10, 15 kilos, no more.
It was a skin-covered skeleton.
And he said to him to transfer me to this block where the Canada is. So before the roll call, they washed me a little bit, they put a new uniform on me, and they walked me into this number 16 block with the Sturmdienst, comes there, come with me, and the blockers that came out. They said, "What is that?" "That's a transfer." I said, "What? Such a Muslim, he said, "Get out of here with him or I kill you." So the students went with me back to the block 7. And they said, "Look, they want to accept him." Because usually, if you happen to go out from block 7, you have to go back to the block where he came from. But he asked the blockers to do them a favor and transfer me to the block, to the Canada, but they wouldn't have me. So I went back and I said, "Yeah, I don't care what happened." So this blocker told me, "Look, I promised this Meyer that I won't send you to the gas chamber. You can't stay here in block 7. You have to go back to the block where you came from." So I went back. And I went after the roller call. I went to this block 16 and I called that Meyer, and he fixed that with a blocker, with a cup or everything that I can to this 16 block. That's how I say.
And what about the story about the man when he asked you your name and you said you were Naftali?
That was
my middle name.
Yeah.
But do you want to say?
That's what he saved me. That's how he saved me. My name in school was Laurent Bleich. And that was all right. Everybody knew me by his name. Even after the war, people who didn't, knew me, they always called me by his name. When I went to the first grade, how do you call Meszczanka
Junior high.
In junior high, when I went the first year in junior high, I had a Czech teacher, a young girl, in her early 20s. And she maintained that Laurent is not a Czech or Slovak name, that I must have another name. But I don't know another name. This is my name. I went to the school, to the 5 years, and nobody bothered me. No, this is not a Czech or Slovak, you must have another name. I said, I don't know another name. So bring me your birth certificate. So eventually, I didn't bring the birth certificate, and when they, after half a year, they gave out the reports. They gave everybody the reports, not mine. I didn't get a report. She said, when you bring me a birth certificate, I'll give you a report. So I came home and asked me where my report is. I said, so they produced the birth certificate, and there was written Naftali. And this was all right.
But that was your Hebrew name.
Yes, it was a Hebrew name, and it was all right.
Not Laurent.
When the man, and I was Laurent all the time, and when the man came to me and asked me my name, I don't know, it came out Naftali. It came out of me Naftali. And he said to me, come to my block after. And he saved me. No
Because
question.
You have to say why.
And because he was a young man. He got married before he was sent to concentration camp. And he left his wife pregnant. He was a young man. He dreamt a couple of nights before that his wife had a baby boy, and he called him Naftali because it's got a name that Naftali in Hebrew means hope, something like that. And he called him Naftali.
And he said that name.
I never, nobody knew me under Naftali, even after the war. But when he asked me the name, it came out of me. When I was here, there was all electric. People used to run to the electric blanket to commit suicide.
Really?
Yes, I could hear, they run to the wires to get electric, but they got shot anyhow. But the guards on those things.
Up there they were.
Yes, yes.
Soldiers up there.
Yeah.
So they run to the electric fence just
to commit suicide, and it was the electric, but they shot anyhow because there were guards there, and they could hear in the night there were always a few shots, always a few people taking their lives.
Dad was saying that his brother built, that was his work detail, was the construction.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
He wasn't a commando who built it,
I've read that your brother was in the bricklayers Mauerschule.
More sure, yes.
There's some
Unbelievable that,
This is Canada 2. Canada 1 was... you were working in Canada here.
Yeah.
But the Canada 1 was also in the industrial complex, which is between Auschwitz and Birkenau. And Canada 2 was built after you left the camp. And there were 30 wooden barracks, which were situated very close to crematorium number 4 and 5. And there were even 2,000 prisoners working every day. Some women were going from the women's camp, some of them were accommodated in the Canada buildings. In 1944, during the extermination of Hungarian Jews, there were so many Jewish belongings that they were not stored indoors, but outdoor. So there were, plenty of everything, piles of everything. That was the best job in the camp, actually.
So you're not in the main camp in Dachau. You're at the what?
I was in the main camp originally. I was transferred there from Warsaw,
Yeah.
and then I was in a offshot of Dachau, where they were building a huge underground something for the German army.
You mean like under the ground, or?
Yes, underground. Yes.
Really? So that was like in a cave or something?
No, it was built, concrete. We're laying concrete under,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what happened in there?
I don't know what happened. Eventually we went away because the war ended.
Okay, so you were just transferred there and you didn't even get to find out what the purpose was.
Yeah. The purpose was for the ammunition, I think ammunition factory. Huge ammunition factory. Underground.
Yeah, how could human beings? I mean, this is not just killing someone. This is an industrial scale.
Yes, but how people of the whole world can do it?
But I guess the world didn't know. But
Oh, no, I don't know. Of course they knew.
The platform after the selection. So we see the trains.
Yeah.
That's what we made.
That was our work.
Yeah, that's what we made. And some prisoners' details which are waiting to sort out, to drop it on this. And again, crematoria 2 and 3, and wooden barracks, and some other prisoners. Not many, but few.
That must be already the Hungarians.
Yeah, that's 1944. There were army barracks before the war, Polish army barracks. So all the other buildings were built in the same style, or they were just extended, they got some extra floors.
When the SS men came and took out the gun to shoot me. And they broke out the lagers. They were going, it was Easter, and nothing to do. They couldn't let the camp to do nothing. So they were found out that to bring those frames. They were frames. This is a frame You know, and this we were carrying from Auschwitz to Birkenau in 1943. And I couldn't carry. I went there, and that bag, not only I couldn't carry, that I had to carry me because I couldn't walk this distance. You know, again, you know. So they put me, the lager sat me against the wall, in a wooden, against the wall I was sitting. And after a while I was sitting there, the lager couple and the Sturmfirma, one of the assessment, went to every block to see that everybody is out working. And they saw me. I said, what's he doing here? What's he doing? The SS asked him, what's he doing? He said, oh, he's can't do. So he took out his gun to shoot me. And the capo told him, I said, put away your gun. It's a waste of a bullet. He's finished in here.
The train you had.
Not here. This is luxury.
That's luxury.
This is luxury.
That's luxury.
We had this we had.
And was there like vermin? Was there mice and rats and stuff?
No,
or they didn't even
no.
come here?
No. There were only lice. And there was no mice because they would eat them.
Yeah, I know.
No, that was luxury, strong 100.
And this building is also the place where the Nazis used for the first time cycling before mass killing. 600 Soviet soldiers, 250 Polish prisoners from hospital, sick prisoners, were put into the cells down there. All the windows were sealed with the soil, and they introduced cycling into every single cell. And after 24 hours, they opened the cells and they checked if everyone was dead. Some prisoners were still alive, so they realized they didn't use enough.
You know, people are trying to hide and not to get caught. And they had a problem because they had to chase everybody all the time.
Right.
So they came to an idea. The day before they
Going to take them.
they tattoo it an L under the number. And if you had an L under the number, it doesn't matter whether you hit or you had to go.
Uh-huh.
You know? So then, in mind, I don't know what did I have.
But you were hit from the L.
No, I did not.
Oh, that's the one they took your number and they said you were such an early number that they got.
Exactly. I was never to go with, you know, even when we were liberated, we were on a train in Bavaria, in their south, I don't know, ahead of the town. And we were going on the train, we didn't know where to take us. Go backwards and forwards, and then we stopped in the middle of somewhere. And we could see the SS. We saw the gun lying on the floor. Those SS left, they could see that it's finished. So everybody was running out of the train, running to the Devon farm. I was saying, I'll take it easy, you know, and all of us are from woods, they started to shut up all of you. Mother, and me before everybody.
He got back on the train.
I went back to the train.
when there were transports of the Jews, the burning bodies was good because those people were quite fat. So the fat was the fuel to increase the temperature and so on. If there were many prisoners from the camp, they used to be very thin. So they were not burning so quickly and they needed some fuel. So they added, like they used to say, a Jew or the Jewish babies, because those were only fat almost. So they dropped 1-2 bodies of the babies to the skinny prisoners and they were burning them for half an hour or something. The bones which were not cremated, were not turned into the ash, were taken out and smashed and grated in the special machines or hammers, and then using sieves and so on were just spread around the fields, used as the fertilizers and so on. So efficiency was really, really high. And another story which has someone behind it is Petr Eisler. He was a child. Eisler. Yeah. He was a child. He was probably about 2 years old when he was brought here and died, of course, in the Geshem, but his suitcase survived. Dvora, once again, he had a boy in the group whose name was Petr Eisler. He was in Israel, Petr Eisler. And once he returned, just without any, panic or anything, he just went to Yad Vashem and he checked the archives and the records. And he realized, he found out that Eisler, Petr Eisler here, was related to him. So-called children's shoes. We have to remember about children who are about 20% of the victims. Just behind the road there is a river, Soa. Now we have a lot of trees which are very high, but at that time the trees were not so high. On the other side of the river there was like a bank, and the people used to sit there and used to communicate with the prisoners. Sometimes they could see each other from the distance, waving, giving the signs or something like this. So people who could use the oculars on the other side, they could see the faces of prisoners here. That's how they try to communicate with the outside world. In America even, that was a free press. But Elliot checked all the New York Times from 1941 to 1945. And anything he found about extermination of Jews was never on the first, second, third, fourth, fifth page, not even at the end, but somewhere in the middle, like this. So the prisons were photographed in 3.
We didn't have in Birkenau this luxury.
No, you didn't. No, you never had this luxury like here.
Yeah, we had a
long
thing.
Latrines.
Latrine and.
That's the first three numbers.
Yeah.
You're 320, right?
Yeah.
That's another 320.
93, minus 93 years.
Wow, that's
come
great.
the same. That's the same.
Wow.
Made some reconstructions.
To the right. When we go up.
Yes, chamber, yeah?
Yeah, this building used to be for a while only, for a moment. But it's actually the first place where the cycle was killed. When we go through, we go into the room of the crematorium. It's uneven here, the tracks. So you see ovens around here. There were 3 designed and built by the same company as in Birkenau, Top Food Zena. Only only two were reconstructed. All metal parts are original, were found around the town after the operation. And some survivors of the were here as well. They helped to reconstruct the Auschwitz. This was small, 700 bodies could be cremated every day. After a certain time,